In this Industrial Sage episode, we're going to talk with Darragh White from LJ Welding in Canada. And so he's going to share with us his experiences on working with LJ Welding and going from that traditional sense of marketing over to digital. He's got a lot of great information that he's going to go over about, what they learned, how they decided to actually make that shift, why they decided to do that, and different things that they did back then, things they're doing now. You're not going to want to miss this episode. There's a lot of information you're going to be able to get out of this. I'm Danny Gonzalez, and this is Industrial Sage. Darragh, thanks so much for joining us on this episode of Industrial Sage. And so before we kind of kick things off, just love for you, if you could introduce yourself to the audience, tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about LJ Welding.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Darragh. I live in Canada, Victoria, British Columbia. I have been a marketing director for LJ Welding for the last 2 years. I've been doing marketing online for about 8 years. And LJ Welding is an industrial automation manufacturer. They're based out of Edmonton, Alberta.
Okay.
And they, up until 2008, and actually even the most recent crash, they were largely an oil and gas equipment manufacturer. And in the last few years, they've really had to branch out into entirely new industries, which now include, I can't say we've legally signed agreements not to say the specific names of some of the companies, but I can tell you they are putting things into space. And it's not just NASA that is a customer of ours.
That's exciting.
Of just some of the interesting players that we get to work with. So welding automation, as you're probably very aware, automation has taken a lot of people's jobs. So getting buy-in from end users that feel threatened that the equipment is taking their job away is one of the many complexities of marketing today, particularly with LJ Welding. But it's also largely B2B. So although we do a little bit of business to consumer with some of our smaller products, we're typically selling to about 6 distinct buyer personas.
Now, I like the fact that you said that you're selling to 6 personas. That tells me there's a little bit of strategy behind that, and there's a little bit of thought to, hey, we're just selling to all these different people. So I like that. Maybe tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I make the distinction of personas as well as the distinction of industries. So we're not just helping oil and gas. We're helping, there's actually quite a lot of different sub-industries within oil and gas.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
But also military, Navy, nuclear power, all kinds of different industries. But we were able to notice that there are patterns of buyer personas. And these buyer personas would be project managers that basically have the same function, but they're really in different industries. But they operate the same way as in buying behavior.
Yeah.
So the personas I can tell you about would be like the Welder End-User, the business owner, the project manager, project engineer, process engineer, and health and safety role. So just as an example of a few of the personas that we're dealing with.
Right.
So, and they all have their different pain points.
Yes.
Distinct pain points, motivations for why they buy, and things that whenever like a lead comes in, I make sure that my salespeople know what the personas mean. So they know specifically the types of generalities we're making about these buyers.
Right.
So if it's for instance, a purchaser or a buyer, their pain points are often around the supplier. Are they on time? Did they jack up the price unexpectedly?
Yeah.
Are they reliable? These are different pain points than, say, the business owner, who really, his biggest pain point is, are we making this more profit? Is this more profitable? Where's the waste? Are we cutting it?
Yeah.
So if I was to talk to the business owner about the buyer purchaser pain points, that wouldn't have the same effect on him as if I was talking to him like a business owner.
Exactly.
Like, hey, we're going to eliminate some waste. We're going to improve your throughput. We're going to up your cycle times, improve your cycle times. These are things that he cares about that I wouldn't say to the purchaser. We call her purchaser Pam.
Sure.
Just that generality, because she doesn't really, she doesn't give a care about these things.
Right, right. No, this is all great stuff. I think I got all excited about this. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit on here. One thing, but before, what I think is important is I think there's a lot of organizations, a lot of manufacturing industrial companies that are saying, hey, yeah, they're recognizing, yeah, we need to be able to make this transition and go from maybe that traditional sense of marketing over to digital, and certainly, persona development is a massive component of it. But maybe you could walk me through a little bit of that story. What's the LJ Welding story on how they came to the realization saying, you know what, I think we need to look at going more digitally. What did that look like? And kind of how did that happen? Walk us through that story.
Well, the guys bought LJ Welding from Larry John, I believe his name was. But the company itself is about 40 years old.
Okay, yeah.
And they bought it a little over 10 years ago from him.
Okay,
and
yeah.
When they first bought it, he only did business in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
He had these pipeline rollers. He didn't really, it was in one bay of a garage. And now it's the two giant facilities doing business in 45 countries around the world. And the big secret is in the internet marketing, really,
mm-hmm.
at the end of the day. They were originally turned on to, like, there wasn't even a website when they first bought the business.
Wow.
And he was using flyers.
Okay.
And he just had a select few people that he was doing business with. So from that kind of business to, we spend several $1,000s a month on just Google AdWords now. That I oversee. That's not including Facebook ads and
sure.
LinkedIn, and I mean Reddit is also a really great place.
Interesting. Okay.
We get some of our cheapest traffic, or least expensive traffic, to our blogs and stuff like that from Reddit. I could probably talk 5 minutes about little tricks on Reddit for how to basically leverage it as a platform, because it's a great place to get traffic, views on eyeballs on your content, which then increases your search ranking, which then strengthens your keywords, your keyword rank, which then means that you have a lower cost per click for those keywords. So it's part of a bit of a more holistic strategy.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I'm going on a bit of a tangent, and I want to answer your question for you before I go on another one.
No, it's all good. No, so I mean, but you said they didn't have a website, and they were doing flyers and stuff. So what was that aha moment, or that, hey, I think we need to try something a little bit different? So, well, I guess when they bought the company, did they come into it saying, we're going to take this a whole different direction and we're going digital, or was it something that was something that kind of was picked up on at some point and said, hey, maybe we should investigate?
I think your audience can probably relate to this. I know I can, as I've gotten older and the owners have kind of mentored me. Is they were looking for an unsexy business, because it's the widget types of businesses, the industrial types of, they're not usually considered sexy businesses. But it also makes them, in a sense, a better business, because they're not going to be swayed so easily by trends and stuff like that, right?
Right. Yeah.
So when they took it over, they realized, hey, we need to have like some kind of web presence. So they ended up getting a website, and they didn't do a great deal with it. Like most businesses, they used it as a kind of online mailbox for incoming leads, and also for where people can see pictures of the products and read the specs if they don't want to necessarily order the catalog. But it was also, they got it onto Google AdWords before their competitors started to.
Okay.
They were getting, that was, I think, one of the main reasons behind getting the website.
Yeah.
Because they saw that there's this really great opportunity in Google AdWords where they were able to get this mass amounts of targeted traffic for pennies. At least at the time. Now, a
little different now.
we're paying a few bucks for keywords.
Right. Yeah.
And that doesn't guarantee that they're going to turn into a lead.
Right.
So, and our cost per lead is pretty high.
Yeah.
When we add up all of our different costs. I mean, for a good qualified lead, a marketing qualified lead.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, so they got the website. It was very basic, and they really were using it just to use Google AdWords and competitors didn't catch on for a couple of years. So they really got a head start, and they really started to build up their business to what would end up being 30 some odd $1 million a year revenue company employing 80 plus people. So
that's awesome.
That's where they're at now. But
that's an awesome story. That's really cool. So obviously over the years things have changed a little bit, and so I imagine the strategies are a little bit more, it's not, as you mentioned, maybe not just PPC or different things, but so walk me through a little bit of maybe some of that organizational buy-in a little bit there, where it sounded like was there some toe dipping involved? It sounded like there was a little bit of an iterative process. I can't talk, and on how they said, okay, we got to do the website. We got to do the website because we need to do PPC. But what was that? Was that it? Like, was that it for them, or was there a longer term strategy?
They before I came on board, they were starting to realize the importance of really upping their online game.
Okay.
And they ended up producing 6 blogs or 8 blogs or something like that.
Okay.
Which they're all right.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any of the marketing thinking behind it, so they were just producing content to produce it.
Yeah.
They weren't actually asking, what are our customers asking us all the time that we may want to have some frequently asked question content.
Yeah.
So they were, instead of checking with their market first, they just produced content, and it was okay. It still gets views, but it's not a really strong content.
Mm-hmm.
And around that time, I was just finishing my university degree, and I was doing a co-op and like an internship with LJ, and I had just finished a free course that anybody can do, which I would strongly recommend, called HubSpot Inbound Certification.
Mm-hmm. Never heard of them. I'm just playing. Just totally playing. Yeah.
And so anyway, I did the course, and I realized by going, because I always, like I said, I've always loved marketing.
Yeah.
And I kind of knew that was sort of the direction I wanted to go. To be a really, really good marketer, you have to first be good at sales. Mm-hmm. And I've been doing sales for, it's probably close to 15 years now, but my first jobs ever were always sales. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so I knew I wanted to get into marketing. I took this HubSpot certification, and I realized all these gaps everywhere in what we were doing. Well, we didn't have a clear ROI on our ad spend to leads. We weren't tracking. We basically weren't tracking. The only thing that we were kind of tracking was the amount of leads coming in.
Yeah.
And then that wasn't being properly tracked. We weren't distinguishing them from people that just wanted to be contacted versus people who had legitimate quotes.
Right.
And the trouble is, as someone who, as a professional, if you're not able to track things, you can't improve things because you haven't been tracking them.
Exactly.
And that was the first big red flag that needed to be addressed. And that was something that I did. I essentially created my marketing director position because the person who was doing the marketing was also the COO who was closing the most deals a day. So he didn't really have time for marketing, but he knew he needed it. Yeah. So they had things like Google Analytics set up, but they didn't even know how to use it. Yeah. And it wasn't correctly installed. They weren't tracking conversions in any way. So there was basically a lot of work to do. And the trouble is when you don't have everything properly measured, you're essentially throwing a lot of money in a black hole. Yeah. Because you don't know what's going on, and you're just throwing money, and it's hemorrhaging. And I said this to you earlier, like, good marketing is expensive. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Marketing is even more expensive. Yeah. Yep. Because of having to redo it and then getting the good marketer in. Exactly. So it's better just to do a great job up front and be willing to, take the hit. Right. In the short term, because in the long term, it's going to pay off. So LJ was really using an agency. I won't say the name of the agency, sure. But I also wouldn't recommend them. Yeah. Close to where they were, who was managing a fairly expensive. They basically were the de facto marketing director company for LJ before I came on board. Mm-hmm. And ended up having to, I mean, for lack of a better word, tidy up what
Sure.
they started.
Yeah.
And just to make it more, because as you know, and the people that are listening, when you're in industrial marketing, you've got a lot of really niche keywords,
Yeah.
or niche, as you guys say over there.
Depends. Yeah, we can go both ways on that. So yeah.
um, and when you hand that over to an agency, they don't get the way that your customers talk. They
Right.
don't.
Right.
They only your salespeople really do know that,
Yeah.
because they're the ones interacting with your customer every day.
Mm-hmm.
If you're using an agency for your PPC,
Mm-hmm.
and they aren't asking enough questions about your customers,
Yeah.
that should be a red flag. And the trouble is they weren't. And although we were getting a lot of traffic to the website, it was not targeted traffic. They
Mm.
weren't even asking us about adding negative keywords into.
Oh wow. Yeah.
They were really just, they were doing the bare minimum, because they could see LJ was already doing great on its own,
Yeah.
and they were like,
Oh, we'll
and
just
I
keep riding
noticed
this, huh?
when I was reflecting on some of their reports and I was looking at it myself, they were they were doing some stuff with the metrics that wasn't necessarily 100% accurate.
Mm.
They were blending metrics together to make it look better,
Yeah.
but when you actually separated it, you saw what was going on.
Yeah.
And they were taking credit for things that, and this is one of the things that companies do need to watch out for when they're looking into getting an agency to help in any form.
Yeah.
You you'll know this well. I mean, you could probably have to clean up a lot of messes too.
Yeah, a little bit. That could definitely be part of it. Yep.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So you said, but with the results, that was an issue. What was one of the first things you implemented then to be able to say, okay, look, we need to be measuring this stuff a little bit better so we can have a better understanding of, what's going, what did that look like?
So we started doing like link tracking.
Okay.
Our call to actions got links tracking.
So like, are you using like UTM codes, or were you using like Bitly?
Even easier. HubSpot's got a way that you can just track links based on whatever the sources are, and so that was important. One thing I would really recommend to everybody listening is, if you have one landing page where you fill in your quotes, stop doing that from here on out.
Yeah.
Instead, have a bunch of different landing pages for different product groups that you have. Because this way you can put tracking pixels in for remarketing later.
Right.
It makes it really clean.
Right.
And it makes sure that you're not remarketing to someone who's not interested in your product, because then you're wasting your money.
Exactly.
You're potentially losing some brand value with that potential. So making sure that your landing pages are product or even industry specific. Right. So that they're only seeing the stuff they're interested in.
So it goes kind of back to the personas we were talking about there a little bit, making sure that we're talking to the right people to have the right challenges and you be
the right stuff in front of the right people.
Exactly.
And so one of the things that we were originally doing was we just had two pages. They weren't even landing pages. They were just web pages.
Yeah.
One for the quote, and then one for contact us. And so I went in and I turned them into landing pages. And for viewers who aren't sure what the difference is, a landing page has no navigation on it. It's just one button and maybe a video if you're smart. If not, it could be like a hero image and like some bullet points saying what the benefits are, why you should give them your email. That's a landing page. And the philosophy behind that is you want to get rid of as many distractions as possible to get the visitor on that page to do exactly what you want them to do.
Right.
In essence, convert. So the quote section was not a landing page, so people could lose their attention span, would move on to something else, and they wouldn't actually submit a quote. So you just want to make it as easy as possible for people, remove as much what's called cognitive friction as possible, distractions and reasons for people to hold off. You want to remove those. So I did that, but then I created several landing pages for different products. Like I said, for the reason that I want to make sure that I'm targeting them. But it also makes it easier to figure out what products or groupings were converting better than other groupings, and that I could do little experiments along the way to just constantly be improving. Now, my average conversion rate on my RFQ page, my request for quote page, is about 30%.
Wow.
Pretty damn good.
That is very damn good.
In some cases, 50%.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but these are things that you got to track. So
Right.
like how well is your landing page
Mm-hmm.
where you're getting that quote to come in, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
How well is that converting?
Yeah.
If it's under 10%, you need to go back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm.
Or you need to figure out what kind of traffic's going to it,
Right.
and then adjust where necessary. But I would say, just in general terms, 20% conversion rate on a landing page is acceptable. It then becomes a lower priority, and there's probably other places that you need to spend your time.
Sure.
If you're already getting a 20% landing page conversion. So
20% landing page conversion. All right, that's the target. So there's a lot of great information, or to kind of recap even a little bit here, a lot of great nuggets of information, or bigger than just nuggets. But a big thing is obviously the results tracking, making sure that you are actually measuring your activity, because like you said, you cannot improve what you can't measure. You need a baseline. We need to figure out what that is, look at it, and then you can make an assessment from there. Also, making sure that in that note, you said something else too. It was basically A/B testing stuff, seeing what works. Again, goes back to the measurement. You have to measure that to be able to see that. But let's try this. Let's try this over here, and let's look at it. Let's analyze, and let's kind of move from there. And then I love the piece about having different landing pages and making sure that on those landing pages that we're really going to focus on those to a specific persona and or whether it's vertical or persona, the pain points, and then being able to use that so we can have a good retargeting strategy that is very relevant to that person later on down the line. And there's a bunch of other things you said in there too that I thought was absolutely fantastic. Definitely the landing page piece where, the difference between a page and a landing page, take away all that navigation, really just focus in on that call to action. This is what we want you to do. Let's go. No cat videos, none of like this is boom.
Give me your email and your phone number, because my salespeople are going to contact you. That's all I really, at the end of the day, that's, it's our jobs as marketers is to get qualified leads, not get leads, not just qualify.
Yes.
But
right.
Get qualified leads. So by the time it comes to the sales knows, like, I want to equip my salesperson with as much information as possible.
Yeah.
So that they, like, now that they know what persona they're dealing with before they even speak with them.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is a purchaser Pam, or this is a superintendent Samuel. They know welder William. I mean, I'm not all right, but
yeah.
they know how to talk to them.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to, and so just equipping. So here's just one other little conversion tip, and I can give you 100.
Sure, I'm sensing that. This is great.
But one big conversion tip is, if you're finding that your conversion rates aren't where you want them to be yet, consider reducing the amount of questions you're asking them in that form, or embolden the value that they're getting in exchange for that. So it's basically, it's a bit of a balance, right?
Yeah.
So if you're giving like a free ebook on how to save $1,000 a month, that's worth a lot of money if it actually, if it lives up to its promise.
Yeah.
So you can ask for a lot of information because you're saving the person $12,000 a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, I would pay you money for this. This is free. Of course, I'm going to give you all of these details.
Exactly.
But in the case where, say you're doing an RFQ, you're trying to get somebody to request a quote, so you can get the quote and then get your salesperson to contact them. This is really important, and it's kind of hard to embolden that value. So because it's everybody else is giving a quote too, all your competitors.
Yeah.
So by asking, if you're finding your conversion rate isn't there yet, consider asking less questions. But make sure that you know the critical ones, like their phone number, their email, their name, obviously, the product that they're interested in, and ideally the company they're with. If it's not obvious in their email, I mean, just make sure that you get their company anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
But then the things that you may want to start considering adding on for your salesperson is, what's the price range that this person thinks it's going to cost?
Right.
And have some, reasonable price ranges that if they want to, they can let you know what they think the price range that they've got budgeted or expectations. Because then your salesperson's able to go in and be like, this person really doesn't know the value of the product yet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to do a really big job on showing value because
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
not, or if they're overvaluing it, that's great because then your salesperson's like, hey,
Set up for success there.
this is yeah. But
Yeah.
you're giving your salesperson a little more information so that they have
Yeah.
an even better job up front. It makes their job even easier. Like I always everybody does this. We all go back to the example of say Apple or Tesla,
Hmm.
where you're looking at examples of really good marketing.
Hmm.
Where there's really good marketing, your salesperson's job should be a little bit more than a cashier,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah.
For a really bad marketing job, your salesperson has to be close to a used car salesman,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So I take a lot of ownership in the success of my company because as as their head marketer, really, I'm a one man show. Um, well, I talk with our sales team, and if they're letting me know of friction points that they're experiencing, that's potentially a new blog piece that we can talk about. But my job is to make the salespeople's job even easier
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
That's awesome, and that's a great. I love that because also there's always a lot of friction between marketing and sales, and sometimes there's oh why can't marketing's doing this? I don't know why the heck they did this, and that I think that is just a great sign. This is where it really needs to be, is really having that great relationship between sales and marketing. You said something earlier about that really a marketer should be really good at sales. So understanding the cadence, understanding the language, understanding the needs, like what are our customers are looking for, what are their biggest challenges, what are their needs, and a lot of times sales they have that information because they're dealing with them every single day. So have that relationship, have that connection to be able to get that information if you don't have that yourself, so you can help make their job easier. I love how you said, you're giving them a lot of intelligence, a lot of information, so that when they pick up the phone, they're not, flying blind into this thing. They've got a lot of information. Okay, this person's in this vertical. They're, prepared to buy. Here's the budget range that they think. So we're going to have to go this direction versus that direction. And now we're just going to help sort of facilitate that. Just kind of bring them in for the landing. It's really nice. We're already lined up. We're on final approach. We just got to bring this thing in, have a nice smooth landing. So I love it. This is awesome. So this has been just an absolutely fantastic conversation, and there's been just a wealth of information here. We're probably going to have to do a follow-up at some point later down the road. It seems like I was really intrigued by this, the Reddit piece. That's the first I've heard.
Do you want me to give a few nuggets on that right now, or?
We could go for a little bit. I think we got a few more minutes before we run out of time here. But talk about it for a second. Yeah.
Okay.
How'd you find that? And how'd you discover
Reddit,
that?
Reddit's a bit of an anomaly. It's its own ecosystem, and before going too hard into advertising in there, get to understand the ecosystem. And it also know your audience. So if you're, it's predominantly males on Reddit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something like 60 some odd percent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's if you're trying to sell to women, Reddit could potentially help you, but just keep in mind the ecosystem and
Mm-hmm.
who's in it. It's also the majority of people are under the age of 38,
Okay.
so it's a younger audience.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're trying to sell retirement homes, not a good idea.
Yeah.
But I think you understand. And also, the 81% of them are moderate to liberal in their thinking,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of interesting. So it's
That is
basically,
interesting.
jokingly, it's a bunch of teenage boys. No, totally not. And but just remember that your persona on Reddit, generally speaking, is going to be a younger male,
Mm-hmm.
generally. So if that's where your one of your personas lands somewhere in there, that's great. And it turns out for us, it often can, like project managers, end users, and the like. So anyway, for a few little nuggets for Reddit, one is the advertising is really inexpensive, but you got to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I really love about Reddit as a copywriter is that if you ever go to Reddit, it's considered the front page of the internet.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's the eighth most visited website in the world.
Really? I didn't know that.
It,
Interesting.
it, or it's eighth, or
It's something. It's up there. Yeah.
yeah. So getting a backlink from Reddit's a big deal.
Okay.
And they don't give them away easily. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so pay close attention to the titles, the way the link, how people get you to click the link, because that's really great copywriting. And in these subreddits, there's welding subreddits, you get to know about the audience, and it's either upvoted or downvoted. And the most upvoted will stay at the top of that subreddit. I don't want to get too technical, because I realize not everybody's even been to Reddit yet.
Sure, yeah.
For a long time. But basically, you can pull copywriting tips, you can pull content writing tips, as in like, hey, this would actually be a really good content idea that we could write up in a couple of hours and then post, because this is clearly questions people are interested in.
Okay, so people are posting. I see. Oh, that's great. That's a great tip. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. What I was doing, and you can also, this is kind of a gray, well, I guess we'll call it black hat, but you can pay for about 30 upvotes for like $5 using Fiverr.
Okay.
So that's a great way to get it started in that subreddit, so that it's already close to the top, so that people are already seeing it.
Okay.
And you're getting legitimate real traffic.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get more exposure on your blog for cheap.
Okay, awesome, interesting. No, this is great. I will be the first to admit to you, I am not. I think I've been to Reddit like 3 times, so I am do not know how that works. That's been great. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. So copywriting tips, you can get cheap traffic that can convert into real leads.
Yeah.
But it's just also really good to include in your distribution strategy for your content. Yep. So.
That's awesome. I love the ability to be able to look at it and kind of monitor the questions that people are asking, so that way, to your point, you can use that to fuel content. Oh, these are what people are asking. Great, let's answer those questions. Let's address that in our content. So
exactly.
Awesome.
And forums, generally speaking, are just a wonderful place to get content ideas.
Yeah.
Like I can go to I'll use my example of LJ Welding, because that's pretty relatable for some people. There's a website called Welding Web, and it's just a forum for welders. Now, this is actually a really great place to find questions that welders are asking each other, and then you get to see the upvoted answers. And those upvoted answers could be excellent blogs on your industrial website.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Things that your end users are asking.
Yeah.
So if you're ever stuck with content ideas, and then I have a few different like free softwares I use to help with keyword research and stuff like that, and that I could maybe include in some notes in this, or we can talk about next time if you want it.
Yeah, no, sure, absolutely. Well, I definitely have my takeaways and my notes. That's definitely one area I'm going to be checking out this week for sure. Take a look at Reddit and look at all the information there, and that definitely got me excited about that. So that's awesome. So, well, again, about this, just so much information you provided for us. I really appreciate it. Again, I think we definitely will have to have a follow up again later, because again, a lot of great information, and a lot of our audience, we're all going through the same stuff, learning all these different things. Just when you think you got it over here, oh, there's new technology, there's new way of doing this, and so it's this constant process, constantly learning, constantly applying new things and testing new things, because the things that work today may not work tomorrow.
No, they won't.
Nope.
No.
So
it's up to us as marketers. I remember a trick. Maybe some of your listeners know this one or knew it. Where in Facebook groups, you could do a thing called bumping. And essentially all that was you would comment. Let's say you posted an article that you wanted people to go read on your website.
Right.
Link in a group, like a group that your personas hang out in. You could get it to the top of the group by typing a comment
and
in the
go
post
to the top.
Yeah. And then doing it, putting another comment in, then deleting it, because Facebook was only registering that comments were being put in. They weren't noticing that you were deleting the comment. So you may put in like, "Hi,
Yeah.
enter, comment, delete the comment, hello, enter. And so all these comments, the algorithm was thinking, oh, this is getting
This is
a
really
lot of
popular.
comments.
There's a lot of traction here.
And
Yeah.
so that was working for quite a while, and it was a very, very inexpensive way of getting Facebook traffic to to. In fact, it was virtually free.
Yeah.
But these little marketing tricks that we pick up,
Yeah.
and I knew about that for a while. And like most marketers don't want to tell other marketers these cool little hacks.
Yeah.
I'm happy to tell you a few, but um, yeah, these things don't last forever. They're constantly changing. These holes are closing, and then new opportunities come up.
Yep.
So it's up to us as marketers, industrial or whatever. We got to stay up on it. We got to be listening to podcasts like this, and others out there that are letting us know like better ways of doing things. So we're not reinventing the wheel. We're not wasting time where we could just be looking at best practices of people we trust.
Absolutely. Perfect. No. Great cap. I appreciate it. Again, thanks for the plug, for pushing it. IndustrialSage. Yeah, listen to this stuff. That's part of what we want to do here. So thanks again so much for joining us. If somebody has a question they want to reach out to you, how could they reach you?
You could send me a email at Darragh@ljwelding.com. I'm on Twitter, but not really. But you can hit me up, and I may respond 2 months late, but I'll get to it.
You can try.
Email's probably the best way.
Okay.
And you can feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's Darragh White, and just let me know in the ad request that you heard from me here, and I'll link up with you, and you can shoot me a message that way too. So
awesome, great. Well, thanks again for joining us, and as always, hopefully you really there's a lot of information out of this. I know there's something that you could take away from this. So make sure you take this, you take out some of these nuggets, this information, and employ them today. If you're not tracking your marketing, if you are not looking, if you're not measuring this stuff, you can't improve on it. So make sure, like at a bare minimum, you're doing that. That's so important. And we talked about persona development, making sure that everything that you are putting out there really there's relevancy, and that you're speaking to a particular audience there because they've got their particular set of pain points. And we've talked about that almost on every single episode. It's a little important. So just a lot of great information here again. And so thanks again for watching this episode of Industrial Sage. If you liked what you hear, please remember to please subscribe. We've got all this content. It'll be all over on all of the social media channels. Like them, share them, get it out there. If you're listening on iTunes, thanks for listening. We'd love a little review. That'd be awesome. So until next time, enjoy it. And we'll be back next week with another awesome episode. Stanley Gonzalez with Industrial Sage.